Listen to this, Smido. Joshua, both Hearns, Warren, the Furies, the Warrens, the Eubanks, Dillian Whyte, Saunders, Wilder, Dave Allen, James DeGale Groves. People in the YouTube industry, you know, like Rob Tebbert, people like that, and Coogan Cassius, Michelle Phelps, them lot. To them sort of people, that's their bread and butter. Without them, they could not exist. Now, Michelle Phelps as Bentley the other day, we're up Winkerbank. She went by Glyn Rose Gym. I said, look at her there. She went to Dominic's. You know that because where Dominic Ingall's gym is, he just lives on next street, and then he's got them made into rooms, hasn't he, them couple of houses now. She's there filming Galahad and Billy Joe, fair enough. Why couldn't she pop to Glyn Road's gym and have a word with Tommy Frank? He's a Sheffield lad, and it's only 1 mile away. Why didn't she give Tommy Frank some PR? Is it because it's on Dennis's show? Because I thought these people were all neutral. Why? What?
Going for the big names, aren't they?
Yeah, because they do views, don't they? You go on Coogan Cassius or Michelle Phelps' channel, you look at people who are not the so-called faces, they don't do numbers. They don't do any more than what some of my best videos, I think my best video is about 10,000–11,000, is it, if that? I know it's over 10,000, but they probably get them sort of numbers for the little people. Now, nobody seems to be going up to Nicky Smedley's place. He's got this little place in Sheffield, and I've been going up trying to help him out and that, and get it out there. And I've helped him put 70 people in his gym. Do you know what I mean? 70 kids. Well, that's brilliant, paying £6 each. And he rung me up and thanked me for that. And I said, oh, you're all right. Because I did a leaflet drop off my own bag. Obviously, helps me get a bit of weight off and that. He's putting something back in it. But these people that have got the access, I'm not digging them out because they're earning a few quid out of the job. I want everybody to earn in boxing, but I think it has to be shared, Smido. I think that if you take them people who I've just mentioned off, and so, right, you can't interview these people ever again because they're never going to want to upset these people, are they? Whereas me, I'd just go straight at them, and I'd set about Billy Joe about certain things, Warren earning a lot, and I'd never get access again. But these people are supposed to be boxing journalists. They're supposed to be people who know their job. Coogan's in a position of power. But yet there's some questions he don't ask. But I can assure you that Eddie Hearn, you never get Eddie Hearn going near Ellie Seckback, do you?
No, they fell out, didn't they?
Yeah, Ellie Seckback's got more followers than anybody, hasn't he? He's the pioneer, innit? He's the guy that started all this off, innit? And everybody else has followed him. When he gets a chance to speak to Eddie Hearn, he asks some proper questions. No messing about. Yeah, I know he's an Al Heyman guy and all that, and they all have the favourites, but he don't get access to Eddie. I just want to see it shared out. But as I've just said to you, take that lot off. Who do they ever interview apart from that lot? That's my argument. What about all these young kids? I know they do interview odd person that, but they don't go out of the way, do they? This week, all you've got is Coogan going from Eubank to DeGale, and then trainer to trainer, Ronnie Davis to Jimmy Mack, and blah-de-blah. He's not been near Richard Poxon, has it, promoter? Why? Because he doesn't do numbers. He's no good to him, is he? But it's his show. And I don't like Richard Poxon anyway for what he did to Dennis. But it's his show. Why ain't he going to see him? Because if it were Frank Warren promoting it, he'd be all over him like a rash. These people have got to be accountable for who they're interviewing and where they're going. They can't just keep milking it to keep the sponsors happy for views. They've got to share it. They've got positions of power. Now, I'm never going to get a press pass, am I? Because I'm too outspoken, but Coogan said to me in Bulgaria, I can sort it, Russ, with Eddie Hearn to get you on channel. All you've got to do is go up to one at press conference where it is there, and I'll have a word with Eddie and I'll get you in there. But I said, Coogan, do you seriously think I'm going to go up there for him to say no in front of my face? You know what emails I get of him because you've seen a couple, pal, haven't you? They're not going to give me access, are they? They're not.
When he comes to Sheffield next time, just turn up or leave.
Yeah. Well, I might get my chance actually because hopefully when Tommy Frank wins this Commonwealth, if he wins it on 15th of March, we're going to be Dennis is going to push for a fight with Charlie Edwards, you know, within 18 months. If he's still got a belt, then we'll see, won't we? And then I'll get my questions ready from all chaps, from you, from Ozzy Smith and other people that I know, lads on the Wage Pod, and I'm going to say, right, Eddie, what about this? What about that? And if they think that wingy boxing put him under pressure, wait while you see what I want to ask him, and I'll back it up with stats, mate. I'm not just going to go in there blind and be made a mug of, because Eddie's a slippery eel, isn't he, Smido? We know that, don't we? He can talk his way out of a situation, but I just
we had him on the pod, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That was must have been about 3 years ago. That night.
Yeah.
He's never been back on since. He said he would, but he never.
Yeah, no, because he knows, doesn't he? Could you imagine it? I just want to see. I don't want to see him out of boxing, because I think if Eddie Hearn packed in boxing, I think it'd go back in a bad place again, like it were. It were in a bad place before he got reins, wasn't it, really? He's like a breath of fresh air, and we all thought he were brilliant, but now it's become about greed, pure greed and lies, and Stubhub tipped me over the edge, you know, Smido, and a lot of chaps, didn't it? Stubhub, really, and then the pay-per-view going up to £3, I didn't like that. And then this with Joshua, where they're just saying one thing after the fight. I mean, he fights Povetkin, then calls Wilder out and Fury after. And he did the same after Parker, and he called him out after Parker, then he gets Povetkin or it Takam or something. They're just gonna hide behind the word politics, aren't they? And splits and stuff like that. Why can't Joshua just do 50-50 for Wilder and Fury, and if he wins each fight, never do it again? Because you don't have to do it again, does he?
Oh, that's right, yeah. I mean, because it's only going to get so long before Joshua thinks about fucking him up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that's what I think. And then I think Eddie Hearn will be doing his best to slag him off then and saying, look what we've done for him and blah blah, like he did Carl Frampton. But way I look at it now is, if Joshua does get rid of him, I think he'd get out of boxing, Eddie, because they've made that much. When them numbers don't add up for Sky, for Matchroom, they bail out. They did after Steve Collins beat Eubank, didn't they? They left boxing, didn't they?
Yeah.
They got out.
Do we believe that Adam Smith interview the other week about when he said that, you know, he's had a word with him?
No, I don't believe that at all. No, he's not going to mess it up for his son, Mr. Bean, is he? Come on, he's not.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
He's not going to rock his own boat, is he? They know that they've got that dart. That darts, you know, does mega dough for them, you know. It's unbelievable earner with sponsors. They've got blue chip companies dealing with that darts, and they've got same for Joshua. They're not going to rock that. But my argument now is, Eddie Hearn said, and I quote, before he got that new 5-year extension, he said, what we're going to do, we're going to have a Saturday night non-pay-per-view, and it's going to be a world title fight on every single one of them. Yeah. When was the last time they did that with a male fighter on a Saturday night?
Well, it was in 2017. It wasn't last year at all. So.
And that was Jamie McDonald. No, the last time they did it in the UK, because Jamie McDonald's were on a Saturday night non-pay-per-view, but it were in China, wasn't it, or Japan?
Yeah, it was in Japan.
Japan.
And they've had a Monaco.
Who were that?
Counting that. I think that night that Lebedev fought.
Lebedev. Who did he fight?
Fuck knows. Some American.
Lebedev. So you've got two guys not born in England fighting in another country, but on Sky non pay-per-view. Yeah. That's not exactly what he said, is it? Really? Well, it is in a way, but when you look at it, it's not. People who the fans are interested in it. That's why they didn't do big numbers for that Monaco show. But when you're getting massive site fees, they were getting massive site fees for that, weren't they? So, and they've got that every year now, haven't they? That Monaco one, every year they want them there. How crazy is that? They must be thinking, them Hearns must sit at home, you know, and think, God, this is like when we dropped on Steve Davis at snooker, and when they got Chris Eubank when he went on his world tour. You know, when they started doing pay-per-view. They're always in the right place at the right time. It's not skill, you know, it's luck. I mean, I spoke to Dennis about this a few weeks ago, and he said, Russ, you could promote Joshua on Sky. You've got the platform, and you just stick him up posters and go talk a bit of waffle in front of Coogan, who gives them the platform, doesn't he? But my argument lately is, all this talk about splits and where people have been getting on Eddie's case, he's basically just gone out there and he's stood by his man. He's done a Tammy Wynette for Joshua. He's had to put everything right that Joshua's done wrong, hasn't he? Like that superior black race, Robert Mugabe stuff, and I want to be a billionaire and stay humble, all that stuff. Yeah. Eddie's gone out, they've wheeled Eddie Hearn out, and he's watered it all down, and then Adam Smith, Johnny Nelson, Spencer Fear and Spencer Oliver, Jake Wood, all the rest of them, they hose it all down, apart from, of course, Tony Bellew leading the charge. Do you know what I mean? But we can see where it's coming from now, and it's all getting a bit predictable. And I really feel for Dillian Whyte and Mark Tibbs, because I think they've had Mickey took harder than me. I think they've took liberties out of them lads myself. Proper liberties. What do you think? Well,
they've definitely they might have done, but as a result of that, they've thrown a spanner in the works by not bowing down to the apparent low ball offer for April the 13th.
Yeah.
At the minute, Dillian Whyte holds the power, if you ask me, as we speak now.
Yeah, well, that date's gone, surely gone now. I mean, if they bring that date up now, they'd have one big rush on what other hands it won't they, in the space of 2 months. But I won't put it past that date still happening, you know.
I wouldn't. They could ring Dillian Whyte now. They're desperate. They're gonna get a massive backlash if they don't do Wembley and they just offer Dillian Whyte the money, and it's on 8 weeks tomorrow.
And what if Dillian Whyte said no? I want another million for messing about.
Exactly.
And what about Miller? He's at carrot dangled now, hasn't he? Because he don't deserve it. Who's his best win?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you. I've not got a clue.
I heard of a kid who I know out there, right near where Miller's from, and he says he's £350. 325 stone, and he'll knock a stone and a half off in camp before the fight, if he fights him. Nothing's signed or anything, you know, at the moment. And we all know, how greedy they are, mate, them Hearns. They're not going to let that Wembley date go. And I was thinking about what you said on last week's pod, and I thought, do you know what? That could still happen, that Wembley 13th fight. It still could happen. And Eddie could say, I've told you I'd deliver, we've got White. And then everybody's going to say, yeah, but it's not Fury and Wilder. And they also say that it couldn't be them as well. They're all playing the little games, the mind games, aren't they?
Yeah.
But like I said to you, have you noticed, are the two people missing from it are the two dangerous southpaws, Usyk and Ortiz. They don't get a mention, do they?
Well, who's Usyk going to fight next? Do we know?
Well, I'd like to think it'd be somebody like David Price or somebody to introduce him to heavyweight division, wouldn't it? You know, to introduce him and get him used to weight and all that, wouldn't it? I'd have thought.
I was talking about Povetkin, wasn't they? That would have been.
Yeah, but Povetkin's 40, isn't he? Now, I mean that. What is he? 31 against a 40-year-old. Yeah, but 40's old. Ali was 38 when Larry Holmes beat him. So Povetkin's 40 this summer. I think that's in bad taste.
It probably is, but I thought that Povetkin gave Joshua all sorts of problems in the first couple of rounds, or maybe the other way round. Maybe Joshua found it difficult against Povetkin in the first 2 or 3 rounds. I thought he didn't enjoy it at all, Joshua.
No, I didn't. I think he looked uncomfortable. He couldn't get his range right, and I think it showed when Joshua actually fought Povetkin how basic and how limited he is. You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of Froch, but a poor Froch, because Froch has more technical ability than Joshua. He reminded me of Froch, where he's a strong footweight, a good engine, fit, can get up off floor. I think Joshua has got a good chin, you know, even though he got dropped. But I think
that would have put me. If Klitschko hit me with that, I'd have been knocked out of the blue. Yeah. He did awesome to get up from that.
But I think he's got that will to win. I think Froch had the devil in him, right? He had that, but he also had that bit of arrogance, whereas he wasn't reading off a script. Whereas Joshua, you can see he looks like he wants to explode at some questions, and then all of a sudden he just remembers what he has to say because he's programmed, isn't he? I mean, we're talking about a man here who's not even allowed to say he's got a bird. You know, he's got a missus. He's got a girlfriend because they want to keep him open to the is he or isn't he market. You know, is he gay or is he straight? So he's not even allowed. He's a man who's programmed like a machine for money. They're going to get as much money as they can, and don't be surprised if he gets out of boxing at 25-0 with 200 million. Don't be surprised, because anything's possible.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and then he can go down as one at greats with, you know, 9 or 10 defences, undefeated, and knocked everybody out except a couple, and blah de blah. Because I can assure you, if he fights Fury or Wilder, it's going to be a 2-fight job, innit? They're going to want mileage out of the fight, aren't they?
Yeah, you'd have thought so, yeah.
They're going to want mileage out of it. But that's just my opinion, pal. I just think that it's a bit of a mess, and I think that fighters just want to fight, but you've got that many people pulling at them, and who's to say that Frank Warren ain't whispering in Dillian Whyte's team's ears, and McGuigan's, because McGuigan's are close to Tibbs, and so at Warren's, and you know, Warren's and the McGuigans and the Tibbses are never going to be mates with Hearns, are they? Like they are with the Warrens, and there's people pulling strings behind the scenes, influencing fighters, and Dillian Whyte's still a kid in his late 20s, isn't he, or is he coming up 30? And he seems to be a wise kid, but Dillian's still a kid at heart, and he's got them days where he'll be immature and where he'll not want people to, what's the word, take liberties with him, and he'll want to stand his ground. Now, for Dillian Whyte, a kid from Brixton, he's a yardie, he's from Jamaica. We've got a yardie kid with a street attitude who's been brought up on the wrong side of the tracks, turning X amount of millions of pounds down for just a straight fight. So he's obviously got something about him, and he's got a long-term plan. So I think it's very commendable what he's done. I know some people on Podgate, Andy Patterson gave Dillian a bit of stick saying he's got to take responsibility, but he does good numbers on the internet, and Eddie talks numbers all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So why not?
Well, you could argue for. I mean, it would be easy to say to White that, you know, well, just you know, you've turned yourself into a pay-per-view star now, just keep milking it. But it's taking hard fights, so that don't really fit into that argument. Do you know what I mean? You could argue, like, given his level, i.e., not even fought for a European title, he's taking more difficult fights than the AJ on a relative basis. Dillian Whyte is. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, well, don't forget he dropped Parker, and Joshua didn't drop him, did he?
Mm.
And he did a number on Chisora, didn't he? And other people didn't do Chisora. Oh, Tyson stopped him, didn't he, in the 11th, didn't he? Or end at 10 for 11th or something. So he did all right with Chisora, but I'm hearing that Chisora's not finished now, and they're going to go again with him. You know,
he's going to milk that. Hay will be milking Chisora.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what he does, doesn't he, Davey Day? Davey Day, the man that milked Sky for millions and millions, then pulled out of 2 fights with Fury, cost them fortunes, came back years later after they said he were finished, 5 years later, and went to Biscuit Barrel 2 more times for pay-per-views. And now look at him, he's going to flog Chisora to death. What script he's going to write for Chisora next time, I don't know. They're going to probably say it's fitness and he's still got it. The man's had 9 or 10 losses now.
Yeah.
You know, how many more times can they dig Chisora up? If Parker beats Chisora and Brown beats Dave Allen, or vice versa, it could be Chisora against Brown or Dave Allen on a chief support on yet another pay-per-view. It's like that film, innit? Another 48 hours, when they call it yet another 48, and then yes, yet again another 48. It just keeps going on and on and on and on, doesn't it? It's recycled rubbish.
How do you think David will get on against Lucas Brown?
David Allen?
Yeah.
I think it's a tough fight for Dave, because I don't think David has got enough experience to mess with Lucas Brown, who's a former world champion. But I hope he does it, and obviously Dave is getting a few quid now, Dave, but whether he does or not, I don't know. I want him to do it, but he's already been told if he loses he's on next pay-per-view, so he's got 2 more good fights in him for decent money, you know, because he don't drink or smoke or take anything, and you know, he lives a pretty basic life, so he's going to get a few quid out of the job. He's probably going to end up with a couple of houses paid for, which is good, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And all his faculties. So I'm pleased for him. But on the other side, I don't like the fact that he don't train, and then he comes on TV and says, I haven't been trying, I don't train. And I think he put his foot in it with Barry, and actually I've heard that they were really cheesed off with him, and they threw him off that December show, didn't they?
Yeah, it's disrespectful, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, disrespectful. And I think David knew that. I had a chat with him about it, and I said, look, I don't know who's advising him. I said, this is how you've got to look at it, Dave. How do you think Barry Hearn and them are going to feel after you've said that? And if you go on another show and you get injured, people are going to say to them, well, you knew he wasn't even training, so now they're going to want to see him in shape. So they kicked him off that December show. He's had a kick-up arse, and let's hope he gets his head around it, because when he signed for Dennis, he was going to be the next big thing. He were a tough kid and durable, and he has got power, but his fitness lets him down. He's a big unit, you know, him 6'3". Yeah. You know, when he left Dennis and Steffi Bull took him on, he was 25 stone, you know. Steffi Bull put a lot of effort into getting that kid down in weight. And I don't get on with Steffi Bull at the moment. We've had another little fallout. But I will say this for Steffi. David Allen lived at the back of my house. And every morning at dinner and night time, Steffi at the time, he had a red Merc coupe. He used to pull round back and I used to see it out window. Every morning, 6 o'clock, then 1 o'clock, and then 6:30, and he had to pick him up and take him to the gym, because David, he knew if he didn't go for him that David wouldn't turn in. And where we lived at the time in Conisborough, it were only 2 stops on train, and train station were at back at house. 2 stops to Mexborough, then you walk over the road to Steffi's gym. So I couldn't understand why Davey wouldn't go to the gym, but Steffi put the effort in and he got him in shape for that Dillian Whyte fight. Do you know what I mean? What did he fight Whyte first and then Ortiz? Yeah. Or was it Ortiz first? He was one of them. I think it was the Whyte fight first, then Ortiz. And he got him in shape, and then obviously then they fell out, didn't they? He went back to McMarsden. But if a fit Dave Allen is an handful, he's probably British level. English stroke British.
Yeah, I want him to take it serious.
I do, yeah.
It looks like Lucas Brown's in good shape, and from pictures it looks like Dave Allen's similar. So you know. Yeah,
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Lucas Brown was in shocking shape for that Dillian Whyte fight. Shocking. Lucas
Brown's 40 next week, isn't
he? Yeah.
So a week after he's 40, isn't it? It'll be 1st of March or something. So when he fights Dave, he's 40-year-old. Now that is an old age to be fighting a young kid 26-year-old who's fresh. But Dave isn't fresh though, is he? He's got miles on clock for 26, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely. That Tony Oki fight or whatever his name. What was his name?
Tony Oko, Luis Ortiz, Dillian Whyte. I mean, he what did he do with Ortiz? 8 rounds, he had 10 with or 8. So he's Dillian, them 3 fights there, 28 rounds, and not moving your head and taking blow after blow after blow. But he is a tough kid, Dave, and if he turns up in shape, Lucas Brown's going to need to be in shape to keep him off, because if he lands one, you're going to go. But David will also know if Brown lands, he's going to go as well.
Yeah, it'd be a good scrap.
I make Brown the favourite, but Dave will be out again if he loses against loser of Parker and Chisora. And there's another fight on as well, isn't there? There's another fight on, another heavyweight show on that night as well. I'm trying to think who that is. There's Takam, and there's another one, isn't there? Takam against somebody else. I can't think of his name. So Dave's in that mix. How he's got in that mix, I don't know, because he's not won a central area, but I applaud it. And people give me stick. Oh, you're only doing that because he's your mate and he's from the same village and blah de blah. Well, obviously there's that, but I hammered him on my channel for his fitness and stuff like that, and he knows that because I never had a text of him for a few weeks, and he does watch them, but I've got to say it as I see it. You know, you can't come on Sky and say, well, I didn't train and I've got to do better than that and it was shocking and that and blah de blah. If he hadn't said any of that, if he'd just said, I don't know what happened, just had a bad night, he'd have been alright. But he's trying to play that man at people and he'd overdone it, because he opens his son up too much, doesn't he? So I said to him a few weeks ago, David, do yourself a favour. Get cameraman out your house. He's got that Rob Tebbert, everywhere he goes, he's got him following him about, or he's with Coogan or blah de blah, because he wants to get out there, but he needs to put as much energy into his training as he does as for getting himself out there. He'd be in grey areas, wouldn't he? There's got to be a balance. It can't be not training, but then doing interviews every single day on phone or on internet and doing podcasts and all that. Because he's been on your podcast, and he's been on mine.
Yeah.
But you can't be doing that and then not going to the gym. Because boxing don't work like that. You're giving people a slap in the face. He knows why he left Dennis Hobson's. Dennis said to him, "Your job, why are you in that shape, David?" And he said, "What do you mean?" Dennis says, "Look, you're fat as a pig. Your job is to train. I'm giving you £200 a week out of my pocket. Your job's to train." Now, so that's how they parted. But Dennis does like him. You watch my pod, he's got a soft spot for him. He signed with Den. Den gave him the name, the White Rhino. We've been out for meals several times last year, even though he don't work with Den. But I did think that he was coming out for a meal with us because he thought that Eddie had jogged him on, you know, about a year ago. But he's going to keep his options open. He's a decent fighter, but David's a young lad. I'm old enough to be his dad, and I don't know his relationship with his dad at the moment, or who's giving him advice. But I think he needs to just knuckle down and let his training do the talking. If I was him in his position, and Dennis agrees with me on this, I'd just come off social media, I'd whip myself into a really fantastic shape, I'm good at presses, I'd not say a word, and I'd just let my fist do me talking, because I think he's said enough, hasn't he, now? He's said more than enough and done more than enough interviews. Let's see some substance now. What do you think, Smido?
Absolutely, he needs to... But we've heard it all before, though.
Yeah, we've heard it all before. Yeah.
He needs to knuckle down. This is his last chance and he's not done it. Well, he needs to go and do it now.
Well, it's no different to Tony Bellew, isn't it? Before he fought Stevenson and before he fought Cleverly and Erskine, he were going to go to war. His exact words. We're going into the trenches!
Yeah.
We're going into the trenches, but he never went into the trenches, did he? He went on back foot in all them fights. Now, what you tend to find with fighters, they do the opposite of what they say they're going to do. For example, how many fighters do we see that are going to do this and going to do that? They're always going to knock somebody out. You've got people like Paulie Malignaggi saying he's going to knock people out. He don't stop people, him. Only person I see doing it at the moment are Josh Waddington and Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
You know, I see a lot of fakes in boxing at the moment. Conor Ben's world rank number 6. So that means for him to move forward, he's got to fight guys 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Or the champion, or the super champion, regular or the super. And then I see Josh Kelly, he's ranked number 7 WBA, but they're fighting journeymen. Anthony Yard's number 1 with WBO. But I can assure you that he'll be fighting guys ranked about 40 for next year. Because they're earning money off commercial stuff, aren't they, with Maximuscle and Adidas. Who's the other guy? Boatsi's WBA number 5. Can you see Boatsi fighting a guy 4, 3, 2 and 1? No. He's going to fight journeymen, isn't he?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fakes out there, and you've got people like Adam the Spin Doctor Smith coming on Sky and saying, "Oh, it's exciting times and great times, Johnny. Boxing's on everybody's lips." But is it great times? Are these fighters great, or are we just being sold a load of rubbish? Like Ritson, they tried to rush him. Ted Cheeseman, he's another one. They're getting good hidings, these kids. What are they doing? Why don't they leave him at British level and stop trying to turn him into pay-per-view?